And that song was like one of the first songs where I lost it. I was like, oh, and I'm like, I'm like, this is what it is to be like taken by like a spirit,
Today is Monday, February 3rd, 2025. Who are we speaking with?
My name is Calvin Booker, aka C Boogie. I'm a DJ and a dancer.
Tell us about your DJ name, C Boogie. How'd you come up with it?
Well, C Boogie came up. So I attended a dance school called Creative Outlet Dance Theater, Brooklyn, and it was comprised of 3 male members as directors. And one of the members was a DJ. His name is Kevin Joseph, and he also went by the DJ named DJ Clever One. He came up with DJ Goldfinger, who I think is still on BLS now. That was like his home. Anyway, and it just kind of came up from that. My brother, I think some of it was Kevin. He kind of like gave it made it come to life. But before that, as a kid, I had a couple incarnations of the name. So I think my first one, my brother had a rap. He was like a rapper at the time, as most people were in the 80s and 90s. And one of his names was C Force. So I didn't really ever let him know that I jacked, some of his name. I started calling myself C Life, just kind of like, I'm like, I don't know how old I was, 8, 9, I don't know, maybe younger than that even. Maybe, I think younger than that. Anyway, so then the C thing just kind of stuck, you know what I mean? And then the Boogie thing came up like way later, just automatically. And I just kind of, I was already DJing. I was DJing for an event that my dance school was having. They had like a holiday bazaar every year. People would come and set up vendors and stuff. And the same DJ, Kevin Joseph, he was the DJ for the event. He always took care of like the technological things. And so he covered the music. And so, I let him know that I, wanted to play or like to play. And that was like kind of one of my first like gigs. So I had to think of a name real quick. So the C Boogie thing just kind of like locked in. And I just kind of roll with that ever since, I guess.
I love it. What does house music mean to you?
House music, oh man, what a vast question. House music to me, it's more than just it's more than just boots and pants. It's culture, it's history, it's lineage. It's a lot of technological brilliance. People that have explored certain machines and have created phenomenal musical ideas out of those things. I celebrate that ingenuity. And yet another one of those trillion things that we've contributed to this amazing planet. It's community, it's expression, it's authenticity, it's agility. It then boils down to like wellness and self-respect and self-love, doing those things that you would need to be able to do to be able to participate actively in the culture. And dance music needs dancing. So also house music coming from funk and soul and disco. I celebrate all those musicians. I celebrate all those bands. I celebrate all those souls that gave us that amazing music, that got people through, all these times. We're discovering, amazing stuff from these people that did it so long ago. Every day, I still record shop. I still dig. I'm still concerned about that kinds of stuff. I think more specifically because my uncle, his band is Brass Construction. So, his band being Brass Construction gives me like a personal, just gives me just gives all those guys a special place in my heart, like a special place in my psyche. Being aware of those guys and what it what it takes to, make a record or to make a hit. And the fact that they have several, amongst whoever else, was playing and doing stuff in that genre. Am I making sense? Like, to me, it's an amalgamation of souls and, a celebration of what was put into all the musicianship to bring us all the way to where we are today, with the music.
Totally makes sense. So let's talk about that. So your uncle, Randy Muller, was part of the legendary group, Brass Construction. How did his music influence your early interest in dance?
Well, what was cool about with my uncle, even, because I was born long after Brass Construction. So, I guess growing up, we played it in the house. It was always known that this is my uncle's, stuff. And we celebrated like it was our relatives' music type thing. And the connection to dance. I mean, I started dancing at 4 years old. You know what I mean? So I just think that it was just a lot of music that kind of contributed to me wanting to dance and me being caring about dance in a way to go to a school. The cool thing about Randy, Randy Muller, my uncle, is that because of his music and because of what was happening in Brooklyn at the time, he, I guess, in the earliest club days, or in the scene, so to speak, everybody's kind of connected. So I guess there's a connection to Obadiah Wright, which is the kind of reason we're even talking right now. So him being one of my earliest dance teachers, he was aware of my uncle's music, and he would like tell me, at the garage, we this and that and that to the music, and just how celebrated, his jam was. "Moving" is one of his more popular songs, and so that's still like a party starter, like certified dance break, you know what I mean, like certified deep dancing to that song. So in terms of a kid, I felt like, yeah, I was genuinely excited. I genuinely get excited, with the music and with the musicianship and what the guys were doing on the record. It still amazes me, what these guys, what was put into that record. And so many. I mean, that's kind of part of the thing. So as a kid, I guess I would show my excitement by dancing to that song and several others, you know what I mean? I don't know if that answered the question, but
It did. You also used to watch Michael Jackson's Moonwalker as a kid. How did MJ's performance shape your dance style?
Oh man, MJ still shapes my everything. Just in terms as a kid is the more surface things. Obviously there's movement and everybody's trying to moonwalk and pop and lock and everybody's Michael Jackson at some point in their life. I had penny loafers as a kid. I had penny loafers at like first through like third grade, maybe fourth even. You know what I'm saying? Just MJ, because of MJ. And just his approach, his presence, his approach, his effort to really lock in and master certain things and be able to portray certain things. And and Moonwalker was a deep movie. He turned into a robot and turned into a car. And Michael Jackson was like big stuff, 80s, 90s. Michael Jackson. So I actually got to perform for Michael Jackson one time at Webster Hall. There was like a Michael Jackson, I guess, convention. There's a bunch of freaking Michael Jacksons in the stage area, in the holding area. And unfortunately, I don't know what the connect was, but my dance group was able to perform as children. We did a dance to Scream, and then we did a dance to Heal the World. Was it Scream? And then as an Earth song, yeah, I think it was Heal the World. Yeah. But anyway, and then Michael was in the audience, you know, as he performed and shit, you know what I mean? So he got up and like did I love you, and the whole place is like nuts, you know what I mean? That was really kind of cool. I feel like as a Michael Jackson fan, like that's like a, you know, that's all you want is, I mean, Michael Jackson is clapping for you, you know, as opposed to you being like a fan needing EMS. You know,
Okay.
that was kind of powerful now that I'm talking about it.
Tell us about your experience seeing a young Savion Glover on Sesame Street. How did it spark your interest in tap dance?
Oh man, so Savion on Sesame Street just made it look like something that kids can do. You know, it just made it look like, you know, he's a kid, I'm a kid, you know, I could, you know, he's a cool kid and he's doing, you know, cool stuff. And it's like, if you could do it, I could kind of do it too, you know. I don't, you know, I don't think that, I wouldn't say he was like a complete influence, but I mean, definitely seeing him as a kid on TV tap dancing was like, oh man, he's a kid, I'm a kid. As you know, it's that simple, you know, kid logic, you know. You know, and then I started to go to dance school. So I started dance school at 4 years old. And it was all styles of dance, you know. It was ballet, it was jazz, it was modern, I guess contemporary, you know, wasn't like deep trained modern at the time. Or at least I wasn't in those classes because you know you could pick your classes. And but I was definitely in a top class. So I started dancing at 4. My first dance school was at my preschool, my Happy Home Academy, which is in Brooklyn, on Church Avenue over here. And yeah, I started tap dancing. My first number was it Candyman? I think it was Candyman. It says some Sammy Davis Jr. And so, and then we also, and then yeah, I think after that, I started going to like a dance school. It's called Bonnie's Dance Showcase, and that's when we did Fabulous Feet. You know, that was like a, you know, that's from the '80s. What's his name? Um, the guy that sings Just a Gigolo. Forget They Believe Us, and and so uh, from there, yeah, we did. You know, we started doing like recitals and competitions, and you know, going out to Jersey and doing these different gigs and things. Um, and then from there, I went to Restoration Dance Theater, which is Marie Brooks' Pan Caribbean dance company, based in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, where I met Tracy Mann, who so at that particular dance school, it wasn't like a conventional dance school. Like we learned a style called bar terre, which is basically ballet on the floor, which was helpful because um, if you can do the ballet on the floor, you know, you're utilizing your core, you're working against gravity, you know, so you become a lot stronger when you stand up. You know, you stand up, the game has changed. It's like, wow, you know, and so having that as a foundation was really, really helpful, you know, because, you know, I'm trained in all styles of dance. And so we also took tap class with Tracy Mann. And Tracy Mann was cool because he was teaching us steps from the hoopers, you know, like the actual tap dancers, like the, you know, the masters of tap. And we didn't really know it at the time. I mean, not that we didn't, not, I mean, she would say the names, but we didn't have any real, like, you know, correlation. You know, she would say and be like, yeah, that's the this, that's the that. But we didn't get to like connect it to like a person, you know, or like a, you know, like a dancer or a style or art, you know, like a, you know, movie. So, where we at? My restoration. So, yeah, there I took West African dance too. I was trained by Yusuf Kumbasa. And then we played capoeira as well. We had a capoeira class, and we did steel pan. You know, I forget who the teacher's name was, but it was a very well-rounded, you know, experience. You know, we used to do tours. Used to go to like the Gullah Festival in South Carolina. You know, with Miss Brooks, who was like super strict. You know, she had like a team of dancing girls, and she was like, she wasn't playing games with these girls. You know what I mean? And you know, we were like knucklehead kids hanging with them, you know. And Yeah, so after that, out of going to restoration, you know, Tracy Mann, she decided to leave restoration at some point. And we're like, no, don't go, you know, we learn all this cool shit, you know, we're not gonna, you know, we're like, you know, we're kids, we're like, no, you know, abandonment stuff. So we're like, you know, wherever you go, you know, actually, you know, what happened was she started to come to my house. We started to have private lessons in my basement, in my crib. My friends are like serious about this because you know we were all hanging together. This is basically us. This is what we did in our time, you know. And we were like, no, we can't not tap. So then out of that, we decided to form a group called the Young Hoofers. And then from the group, we started to do like performances with Chuck Green, who was my teacher's teacher. You know, like they call him the Godfather of Tap. He was like an elder, but he was still hitting at the time. And we started going to you know, jam sessions at Swing 46, which was like a happening jazz club in Times Square at the time. Every Sunday was a tap jam hosted by Buster Brown and like Savion and all the Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Fun people would come. And you know, it was like a family thing every Sunday for like tap dancers and tap enthusiasts, you know. Um, and so that was like our education. Like, yeah, we had dance class, but we also were in the field. Like, we were actually like jamming with like live musicians and jamming with other tap dancers, and you know, finding our identity, you know, as tap dancers. So it was beyond going to dance school. You know what I mean? It was like way beyond dance school. It wasn't like a, you know, it wasn't Dolly Dink or anything. We were actually connecting with Buster Brown, and who, you know, he knew us as like a, you know, elder uncle. Chuck Green, Pegleg Bates, Jimmy Sly, Howard Snumpy Cromer, you know, all these like elders, you know, Jimmy Slide. Jimmy Slide was one of my, you know, my favorite dancers to watch, you know, as a kid. Sandman Sims, you know, my teacher hosted a workshop with Sandman Sims, and we got to hang with him for, you know, a couple of days. So, you know, I feel like off of that, my path has been like, you know, blazed because, you know, no matter what tap dancer comes around, they weren't there. We were there, you know. We got to like really meet and greet and feel what it is to be around like these gentlemen and these other men that you know passed on, like contributed so much, you know, through their artistry. You know, it was just a blessing to be, you know, there, you know, and so it helped us to kind of embody tap dancing, you know, as a life, you know, style, you know, as a path, you know. Did I answer the questions? Well, what was your sound? Something happened to the sound.
I just have background noise. I just cut it off when you're talking.
Oh, good.
Let's talk about you were in the Broadway hit Fella. Tell us about that. Tell us a story about performing in the Broadway show Fella.
Um, well, I guess one of my favorite times performing um during that was so there's a part in the show where I have to like come out from a different side of like a different part of the theater as in a gungun, which was like a spiritual embodiment of all the Orisha, just like all the patches, all the colors. I'm like this big patch of cloth, you know what I'm saying? All these different like patches and shit. And so um Q-Tip had came to our show. And the reason why I know that is because there's a interlude on his album where he's laughing. He has this track with Busta Rhymes, and they're like in the studio bugging out. You know what I'm saying? They're laughing, and so I'm waiting in my area, and I hear the same laugh, and I was like, no way, that's not Q-Tip laughing at the you know in the show. Like it wasn't a funny moment in the show. You know what I mean? So I was like, for this cat to be laughing at this moment, I think it was like him and like Swiss Beats was like cracking jokes or some shit. But it wasn't a funny moment in the show. So when I heard the laugh, I was like, no way, that's Q-Tip. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know he was there until I was in my area. But when I heard the laugh, I was like, oh, that's Q-Tip. Like, that's crazy. And then it showed up when I came out, I was able to kind of see, that it was Q-Tip, and I was like, oh, that's wild. That's wild that I know that I was able to identify that. And then it was the time that Beyonce came. Beyonce came and like visited the cast, and Beyonce and Jay-Z came, and I was like the kind of the middle guy, between like Jay-Z's on this side, Beyonce's on this side, and the cast is like I don't know. Somehow the universe put me to be like the center guy in that photo. And it couldn't have really worked any other way, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, that was cool. I got this arm is like christened, like Beyonce's space, forever.
Great stories, great stories.
Yeah, she was cool.
Let's
They,
pivot.
eventually, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Now I was gonna say they eventually, produced the show, and then it became, like a big, massive hit.
Exactly.
Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Questlove from the Roots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
certainly. Yeah.
Let's pivot to DJing. As a DJ, how do you incorporate your dance background into your sets?
Man, so there's the actual like literal way where people have been telling me for years to incorporate like tap dancing and DJing and to like do that live somehow. And I guess it's still a thing. I guess the cat is semi out of the bag. I mean, somebody might do it, but it still might not be as dope as what I'm gonna do. So it's like whatever, have at it. But there's a literal sense, and then there's as a dancer, being trained in contemporary and modern and all these other things. My house dancing comes with all that information. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's house dancing, and then there's I went to high school and college, to study dance, so, and I was part of an actual, contemporary dance company. So I bring that to the floor because, that's how I express. I'm out of the box that way, and so as a DJ, I just play stuff that, I try to, before it used to be like, play different. Like if you hear a version of a song 1,010,000,000 times and everybody's acclimated to that version, sure that version will exist, but I'm sure there's another version of it that's better for different reasons. You know what I mean? And so play that version because it exists. You know what I mean? And that kind of, to me, kept the intelligence up. Kept our brains moving. Kept our brains having to like get more acclimated with the music and make the music kind of have more like resonance in people's hearts and minds. You know what I mean? Because they're paying attention. They're like, oh, this is that. I know this song, but I never heard this way. Oh shit, it's like a new thing. It's like people, but only a handful of people are on it like that. You know what I mean? And it's not enough to people for it to be like a general thing. You know what I mean? Like I used to go really hard. Like I would play this version, and I still do. Because that's just who I am. I'm like, I can't. If I hear I got Superman, we all got Superman. We love Superman, right? But I got a couple different versions of Superman just for the hell of it, just because somebody did it. Thank God. You know what I mean? They've been running as we all love Superman, but I mean, come on, you know. Who's this cat? I forget. Netta Supreme did a variation on it. Like just cause there's a dub for Hey Hey. Hey Hey is another one that we hear pretty often. But there's a couple of versions, and I don't really hear the other version as much as the Hey Hey that we all know and love. But it exists, you know what I mean? So as a dancer, I try to excite myself by playing stuff that excites me because it's fresh and it's different, and it could be a variation on a theme, but it could not be. It could just be something completely different and funky, but just different. I strive to play like the different stuff like on purpose, because somebody else is playing all the other stuff. You know what I mean? So why not play the other stuff? There's a lot of stuff.
You've DJ'd internationally. Tell us about DJing in Spoleto and Florence. How did Italian audiences respond to your music?
Oh man, it was dope. So dope that the DJs and I were like trading tracks. You know what I mean? We're like, you got this record? Oh, you know this record? Oh, I got this record. Oh. You know, we were doing that in Italy. That was pretty cool. Same in Russia. I DJ'd at a club called Propaganda in Russia. And that was actually more like a house situation because they have a club on Tuesday. I think was it Thursdays or Tuesdays? One of their days is like a soulful house night, and many DJs have gone to Propaganda to DJ. You know, so they are like aware of like proper house music. You know what I mean? Well, you know, like, when I say proper, I mean like, you know, like big names have been like, you know, Kim Lightfoot and you know, Todd Terry and you know these guys, you know, big guys. Me and so you know, it was really fun. I got to play some different stuff again, you know, just again trying to just, you know, have some different vibrations and not be programmed to, you know, the same you know, there's different ways to eat a Reese's, you know what I mean? And some producers do a good job at exploring that and expressing that.
Tell us about Big Band and Tap Preservation Society. What inspired you to set that up? And what is it?
So Big Band and Tap Preservation Society was an organization that I established with Carolyn Harding, who is a house music, you know, legendary vocalist. She, you know, she has a track "Moving On" Emergency Records. It's like a, you know, like a '80s like standard. Aside from other songs, but that's like I feel like that would be the song you would know her probably from. Do you know the record "Moving On"? Yeah. So we met on a gig. We were doing a jazz gig called Sophisticated Ladies, and it was a Duke Ellington, you know, review, so to speak. And you know, it's kind of, you know, totally outside of house music. And you know, we went to Florida. We were on the tour together. We went to Florida, and we were doing these shows all throughout Florida. And the first year I was there, she was also like simultaneously performing at the Winter Music Conference. And so as a DJ, I'm like, what? You performing at the Winter Music Conference? Oh, that's dope. Are we in there? Let's go. So, you know, I'm hyped. And it's, you know, first of all, she found out I was a DJ. She's like, oh, you're a DJ? You should come with me, you know, come, you know. I thought I was gonna just be there, but she's like, you know, come be my DJ. And I was like, oh, should be a DJ. Okay, cool. You know, so I play with her at this club. I forget the name of the club, but it has this airplane layout. It's like laid out like an airplane, has airplane seats or whatever. It's like one of the popular stops in the Winter Music Conference situation. Last time I went, I don't know what it is now. It's been forever. But so that's how we met, you know. And then so when we got back to New York, you know, sometime later after, you know, doing a couple different things, she decided to kind of establish this to preserve, you know, what it is we both do. You know, I tap dance, which is always, you know, considered a lost art form, this and that. And she sings jazz, you know, aside from, you know, house music, she sings jazz and blues and all these different things. So we were, you know, inclined to set some gigs up for ourselves by establishing this organization. And that's more or less how it came about. You know, we were trying to set some things up for some kids, you know, make jazz and tap accessible, you know, because a lot of people haven't really seen tap dance outside of Happy Feet or, you know, the movie Tap or, you know, Savion, that's Savion. You know, they give it a good whirl, you know, trying to get Savion's name right. You know what I mean? But in the households, it's like universally, you know, it's understood, but it's always messed up. People always mess this man's name up for decades. But sorry. Or whatever. But I know, but I always know what people mean, you know what I mean? And so, you know, that was part of it. It was like bringing it to the people, more or less bringing it to people that we can touch and they can, you know, we can see and know, and they can be like, yeah, I saw some tap, I saw some, you know, some stuff.
How do you see the connection between tap, traditional African dance, jazz, and house music?
Good question. So the connection for me house music house dancing is swing to me. To me, it's like jazz. Like even the music in house, that's a hi hat of jazz to me. You know what I mean? And that is the thing that kind of ties it all together. You know, every time you want to be reminded, no matter what's going on electronically on a house track, that brings it back to jazz, which is like the dancing comes more from a swing dance kind of perspective. You know what I mean? And within swing dancing, like, you know, tap dancing vernacular includes swing dancing. You know what I mean? So like me, like when I do my thing, I'm not tap dancing the whole time because I dance house and I'm inclined to know some swing, you know, moves, and I'm having a good time. I'm expressing myself. So all of that stuff is in there. You know what I mean? I try to, you know, make it part of who I am. You know what I mean? Tap dancing, not just tap dancing just to be tap dancing. You know, I want to show that I'm a dancer. I'm a human being. I'm having a good time. You know, this is fun. This is effortless. This is easy. Not out there trying to just be dancing to, you know, pay the bills. You know what I mean? You know, so yeah, musically, I feel like that's the through line. I feel like the hi hat is what ties it all together, and the African component comes in from the some of the athleticism, you know, some of the combinations, you know, some of the patterns, some of the you know, some of the, you know, like you know, you watch some of these cats do their choreography, some of that brilliance again, you know, so all that ingenuity that goes into their choreography, you know. It's all a celebration of like intelligence, man, and brilliance to me. You know, to me, it's like, you know, it's a lot of information, and it's been, you know, disseminated, and you know, it's been orchestrated and manipulated all kinds of ways, you know, and it's all subdivision. At the end of the day, it's like, what can I do with this beat? You know, people are figuring out all kinds of cool things to do with that hi hat, with that unifying thing. You know, something that's able to that the whole world is able to have fun with. You know, kind of manipulate, you know. So that's the beautiful thing about it, is that everybody has a everybody has a pulse. You know, ultimately it comes back to the heartbeat. You know, everybody's heart is beating. You know, and with that, you know, something something is bound to ignite. You know, initiate some kind of movement in people. Does that make any sense? I feel like I feel like yeah, I feel like that's the through line. I mean, that's why Carolyn is able to sing jazz, you know, in house. I mean, she's known for house, but she sings jazz because, you know, it's vocal stylings at the end of the day, you know, and it's an appreciation for music. To me, it's an appreciation for Black, you know, I mean, I gotta say Black history because we've contributed so much. But over the years, you know, other people have, you know, participated and contributed, you know, really phenomenal music. So it's not just like a Black thing anymore, but it definitely is, you know, coming from a lot of, is rooted in a lot of our contributions, I'll say. You know, we're usually the ones giving it up.
So tell us a story about performing with Stephanie Mills and Felicia Rashad and Nativity.
um, let's see. So Stephanie Mills. So it was the year. So that year, I had found out that Stephanie Mills. I forgot how, but she was back. We were backstage at some point, and somehow I found out that her and my girlfriend at the time had the same birthday. So, so I was like, yo, you know what I'm saying? There's the connection. You know, I understand people born on your day, I guess. I don't know what I was trying to really imply with Stephanie Mills. I mean, it's Stephanie Mills. But yeah, that was a cool production. That was like college. Um, there's a lot of people in that show too. It was BB Winans, and there was TC Carson and Keith David and Allison Williams from Def Jam, you know, the first lady. And Joyce Faison, who was one of my teacher's teachers. We grew up around Joyce Faison, and Shirley Black Brown was like, our connection to him. Cause they're like, cool. And hanging out with George Faison, we got to bump into like Ashford and Simpson and like these random people that used to come by his firehouse in Harlem and hang out. you know. Um, yeah, it's been a really random road. I mean, I know we started off talking about nativity, but I'm just thinking about all the connective tissue, you know what I mean? It's like a lot. It's a lot of stuff.
Let's talk about performing. You had the pleasure of performing at Lincoln Center and the Apollo Theater. How do you adapt your performances to different venues?
I don't think I adapt to different venues. I think it's more of, tap dancing is a very interpersonal thing, you would like to, I mean, yeah, it's technical and there are things that you practice, but there are things that, you leave up to the stars, you leave up to the cosmos, you just kind of let it happen. And so, I think more of the variables is like the floors, the different floors that we had to dance on. Lincoln Center, I had to dance on my board. It wasn't like I was on the grand operatic stage. I was still on my board, which is not that big. It's like I don't know, 6 by something. I don't know. It's not a big board. But anyway, so at that particular performance, I had to adapt to a much smaller space. You know what I mean? The Apollo, I was at the Apollo twice. I was at the Apollo once with my group, and then a couple of years later, I was there as a solo artist, tap dancing. And, I remember I lost to this rapper named Blind Fury. I think it was Blind Fury. Blind Fury? You ever heard of Blind Fury?
Yeah, he's nice. He got
Yes, you know what I'm saying? So I lost to Blind Fury. But everybody that came out for Blind Fury, I never forget after the show, they're like, yo, kid, you did your thing, bro. They gave me respect outside. But his people from Bushwick was in the audience, so it wasn't like, like you can't contest the crowd or whatever. But that was cool because Apollo, it's like TV, so they have mics or whatever, but it's not like a concert performance where you're dancing on wood and you have good acoustics and your mics are lit and everything is cool. So I just kind of did it. And it's more like for them it's more like a visual thing because they're not tap dancers, aficionados. So they just like, oh, he's tap dancing, oh, he's tap dancing really well. Oh, it looks really cool. And if Blind Fury didn't bring his whole neighborhood, I probably could have won that joint. But it's all good.
Everything happens as it should.
Yeah.
Tell us a story about performing at the United Nations.
Okay, so I was at the United Nations a few times. One time I was with Creative Outlet, which is like a dance group. And that was massive because we danced, it was like a troop of us, a group of us. So, it's a very full kind of, idea, full production, a lot of, turns and transitions, big choreography. So that was cool. I'm trying to think, is at the time, the freaking, what's his name? Not Mandela. Belafonte. Oh no, Belafonte was a different. Harry Belafonte was after Skittles. But I was trying to remember. I mean, it was cool. I was a creative outlet, and that was one of those things. We gave a lot as kids. We worked as kids. So, a lot of the gigs are like, I don't remember full details of a lot of stuff, but
no, that's all good.
A lot of give thanks for that happening in my life. It's one of those things I can celebrate. Be like, I did that.
How has growing up in Brownsville, Brooklyn influenced your artistic journey?
Well, going up in Brownsville, trying to be artistic keeps you out of Brownsville. So when you're on an artistic journey, you don't have time to be, caught up in Brownsville and whatever that could mean. And that doesn't mean like I'm not at all involved in my neighborhood. It just means that I don't have time to get caught up into, the statistical things that could be what is in my neighborhood. Like if not for the arts, my trajectory in this neighborhood, would have been very different. Could have been very different if I didn't always have something to do almost every day of the week. Just the arts kept me just away from a lot of just unnecessary stuff. Not to say that I haven't experienced, any tragedy or any kind of anything, but definitely is like definitely helps you out of that, help you miss certain things.
Absolutely. Let's go into house dance. How would you define house dance?
Well, so my dance school, okay, so first of all, as a kid, I used to do these like fashion shows. My aunts, they had a crew called Positive Circle, and they used to do fashion shows like at churches and things like that. So that was around the time when the whistle song was like dope. You know what I mean? The whistle song was like all over the radio, and that was like the jam, like the summertime jam. You know what I mean? Um, and then plus as a kid, I had a lot of random records. My uncle worked for Billboard, so I used to get a lot of promos and random, records and things. So as a kid, I used to be going through the records. And so I found, house music that way too. And so through dance school, you know, let me see, 4, 5, 6, 7. Dancing in a cipher has always just been like part of the thing. You know what I mean? Dancing in a circle is like African culture. It's like you go out in a circle, you dance, with your friends, or you dance with people, or you dance with some, whatever. And so when I got to Creative Outlet, they were like the heads, Jamal Gaines, who's like one of the, head guys in that thing. He's like he was like a garage head. So he was a little older than the other two guys. So his generation was the garage, and the other two was the shelter. They were like shelter heads. And so, Jamal always, to this day, he'll always encourage, that freestyle dancing. I would say 60 something percent of our choreography, of our actual choreographed works, are rooted around how well you can freestyle, how well you can improv. And so as kids, we used to hang out with Jamal. Jamal used to like take us around town, like go to different events and parties and restaurants and like hang. We're like a real tight knit kind of crew. And so one of the things we used to do as a crew was go to Soul Summit. So we used to go to Soul Summit in Fort Greene, and that's kind of like where I really started to like open up and get like, get into like a groove and start to really understand like, oh, I really enjoy dancing, especially with women. They're like a great, a catalyst for certain moves that you can't really duplicate, certain, that kind of thing. But yeah, that was kind of like, for me, I remember specifically it was Kevin Everett. Men from the Nile, they come in, they come from around the world, right? And so that was a bad impression, but Kevin is the singer, whatever. But you know what I'm talking about. And that song was like one of the first songs where I lost it. I was like, oh, and I'm like, I'm like, this is what it is to be like taken by like a spirit, I forget who was playing. It could have been Raz. It could have been one of those like early Soul Summit guys. You know what I'm saying? Do you know DJ Raz?
Yeah, I've
DJ
interviewed him for Bounce. Yeah.
Say brother?
I've interviewed him for Bounce. Yeah, no, he's mad cool.
Oh yeah. So Raz, fun fact. I was one of my first radio shows with DJ Raz. I don't know if that came up in his interview. I don't know why it would, but this is my interview, so I just let you. I just share that. That came out of a residency. I used to play at Chocolate Monkey, which was owned by Oscar Fuller. Boy Jarvis used to hang there, and like Raz and James Vincent from Chicago used to come out there and hang, and lot of cool vibes. Matt Echols, who's used to make tracks with Romaine, Romaine Gao. Yeah, so they're like, I forget the name of that thing now. But yeah, those are all like, they were like, we were all like, rubbing elbows. I was like a little kid amongst all this like brilliance, But yeah, I would say Soul Summit would be kind of like where I first found. Actually, my first kind of like moment was actually to Dr. Love. I was at a backyard party with St. Kevin Joseph in Brownsville. He lives deeper in Brownsville than I am. I'm here, he's like deeper. And he had a backyard party and he played Dr. Love. And that's kind of like where I really was like, whoa, what was that? Like, it was kind of like, wow. And then it just kind of led me to seek out the music. It led me to kind of go to the record stores. I started checking out Romania, and Halcyon and Satellite Records and dance tracks, it was just right down the block from Romania. It's another little record store, by the pizza shop. That's like my strip. I go get pizza and then do records and move to Romania and then go home. I did that for all through high school. you know. But yeah, so the dancing thing just kind of got like developed from Soul Summit, and because I was actually dancing, you know, there was like a fine line, between like concert dancing and club dancing. I was kind of like, I was dancing all the time, you know. So
I love it.
yeah.
So many questions. Let's talk about Brooklyn. Say my friend Andreas from The Hague is coming to visit Brooklyn. Paint a picture of the current Brooklyn house music scene, like our sound. So he's going to be in Brooklyn for 8 days. What are the spots? Where would you take him? What does he have to go see? Which clubs, which DJs, which parties? Go.
Well, um, I mean, I guess Spinner is the most consistent. I would say anything DJ Spinner has going on while you're here. I mean, he just had a big birthday party, but anything he has going on, definitely check that out. So my peoples, they're at this spot called Dead Letter Number 9. It's in Brooklyn by the Domino Sugar Factory. They just had like a Detroit invasion. Uh, um, Marcellus Pittman and this cat Dion, I forget his last name, but he's like Theo Parrish's protege. You know Theo Parrish? Yeah. They just, so they do kind of like, underground stuff like that at Dead Letter Number 9. It's like this new spot, new to me. Of course, Soul in the Horn. If there's a Soul in the Horn going on, by all means, check that out. That's gonna be the more, I guess, overground kind of a party. It's overground now. It used to be an underground jam. Now it's like everybody knows Soul in the Horn. Like, so, um, I mean, if anywhere Kim Lightfoot is playing, definitely catch Kim Lightfoot. He's still rocking. I mean, there's still Funk Box. Funk Box is still happening, in full effect. I miss Libation, man. I miss when it was like Libation. I miss Cielo. I miss all the parties at Cielo. Cielo had like a party every day of the week. That would have been short fire thing to do. Oh, Libane. Libane is a cool spot where you can probably catch a good, couple of vibes. And then there's Knockdown Center in Brooklyn. They might have some kind of massive underground event because they do that, you know. It all depends on what's happening while he's here. I'm me personally, I'm not, I'm kind of in it, but I'm not really in it. Oh, Cosmic Arts. Cosmic Arts is a spot in, run by Joe Clauzel in Brooklyn. Definitely check that out because they usually have somebody dope that's like really rocking in that spot. If not Joe himself, then somebody, you know. I like Cosmic. I haven't been to Cosmic Arts in a while, but I miss the old Cosmic Arts because it was a nice, cool little like vibe, you know. But they've expanded, you know. But now it's becoming more of the, you know, if you know what I mean. Like it's not like people that are all over the floor like really feeling what's happening. Like me, I'm like a floor guy. I'm expressive. I'm using my agility. I'm celebrating my physicality. But everybody's like, they're too cool for school. So but yeah, and then there's a lot of random pop-up stuff that happens. There's a spot called Key Bar. A lot of random stuff is happening there now. There's a party bus. I've been DJing on this party bus that's side parked outside of Sila on Scott Avenue. It's like a disco party bus. It happens like twice a week. It's a Friday and a Saturday thing for a couple of hours. From like it's after hours, so it's like from 4 to like 8 or 4 to 10 in the morning. Sometimes I played, both shifts. It's kind of cool. There was some other party bus that popped up, so I guess they're doing more of those now. Yeah, honestly, I don't even really know. I can't even give you like the answers. I'm kind of like I got my right foot is in there, and my left foot is like not in there. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what's happening. But if he's here, I'm sure there'll be something cool to do while he's here, and play it by ear.
Let's talk about advice. What advice would you give to the next generation?
I would just say like just develop some like awareness for like the music and the musicians and the people that make it. Only because so much goes into making this music, and so much of it goes like recognized or uncompensated. You know what I'm saying? If even for just to know like even just to know whose record it is to say like thank you or that record is dope or oh man, this record, oh, that's my shit. Something to let them know that their work is not like for naught. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, a lot of these tracks get lost in the sauce. You know what I mean? And like I have a book of CDs of stuff that I know people aren't playing. You know what I mean? And I don't know what that means for the artist or for the person who made it. I'm sure it doesn't mean a lot of money. So the least I could do is play it and let people know that it exists. You know. So I would say like develop, your awareness for, most of the music, old and new, and don't just be on like autopilot. Because a lot of what I see is people are like on autopilot. People go to these dance classes, and then they come to the club with their dance class crew, and then the club starts looking like a dance class. And I'm like, I mean, I get it, but that's the whole point. Like the club is not supposed to be a dance class. It's not supposed to be a cipher the whole night. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you're happy to see your friends. Yeah, show off your little moves. But the other part of the club, like training or the culture, is knowing how to dance, how to maintain your space amongst people that are doing the same, at a similar vibration or level. You know what I mean? That's part of the technique, so to speak. You know what I mean? The technique is learning how to do all that and not spill your drink and not bump into nobody and do your shit and not kick nobody in the face or step on nobody's toe or and you don't get that from dance class. I mean, how can you? You gotta be in it. You gotta be in the situation, the situational. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think that's as somebody who's kind of been there moving into this next wave, I see a lot of that. So I would just kind of say, I would just advise to them to, develop a vibe or persona that is, I guess, contributive to the vibe, contributive to the experience, or it's contributive to the party, or at least so the DJ could feel like, he's doing something for people and not just a room for people on autopilot. You know what I mean? I don't know if that was too real, but a lot of people especially at these stadiums, these festivals, you know, people are just like, "Ooh." And I want to play for somebody that's dancing because the music is that good. You know what I mean? Not just because, oh, it's house music. We got to do these moves. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that, you know, that I've seen. So.
If somebody books DJ C Boogie, what should they expect?
Well, they should expect different. You know, I'm gonna, you know, music, my musical identity is kind of like vast. You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm, you know, melanated, that means I have to stay stuck in playing Afro house. Because there's a lot of Afro cats that's not even playing African vibe stuff themselves. You know what I mean? You know, it's not to be pigeonholed. You know, having an awareness of Detroit, having an awareness of all these, you know, other places where house music comes from. You know, I try to incorporate all of that into my musical identity. You know what I mean? Moody Man and Theo Parrish and, you know, all these different cats, you know, stuff that people would really dare to play in a party, but they're part of my musical identity. You know what I mean? Part of who I think I am sometimes. You know, so they should expect just really good stuff. I feel like I have a pretty decent taste in music, and you know, just expect, you know, some good vibes, some good dancing, you know, some good dance music, you know, some interesting stuff, you know, stuff you may know, stuff you don't know, but just funky nonetheless. You know, I try to keep it all, and not even all just house. You know, I'm a piano and I play Afrobeat and hip hop, of course, you know, because I'm from New York. So it's all part of my musical identity. Again, it's all melting pot of all of that. You know what I'm saying? I had to play some cumbia the other day. You know what I'm saying? You know, I was in Jersey though. I was in New York. But I just say it to say that I'm open to everything. You know, I play salsa, I play Latin, I play some bachata. I'm adaptable. You know what I mean? I try to play some jazz. I play gigs for the National Jazz Museum. Every summer they do a thing in the park in Harlem, and I try to. That's more like my jazzy, eclectic kind of stuff. I try to keep it funky and eclectic and play, you know, some different things. So you know, just having a wide range of influences. You know, they could expect just a lot of just different stuff. I don't like to stay stuck in one pocket per se. You know, house can be kind of limiting, you know, but you know, we play music as a dance music. You know, when you playing dance music as an artist, it's not all it's not all house per se. You know, there's a pulse, but it's not all house. You know.
And the last question, if people want to book you, how do they do it? Should they just go to your Instagram, hit you up?
Yeah, that's the most direct way, I would say. My Instagram is DJ at DJ C Boogie. I have to remember the third incarnation of it because it's my latest page. You know, it's good old Facebook. I'm on Facebook. Calvin Booker is my Facebook. You can hit me up. And if you have my number, a good old text message would do. Email will do. Um, I don't know if I should give my email on this.
Probably not. Probably not.
Probably
Yeah, yeah,
not.
probably not. But yeah, they'll get you. I'll link to your IG at the end of the article. So
Yeah, that's the best way. That's the best way.
cool,
Um,
brother. Yeah. Anything that I didn't ask that you want to cover today?
I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of you know, influences and instances. So, you know, I mean, does anybody come here talking about like libation and how that whole scene kind of you know, like what that is, like the libation era, like people have come on in, I'm sure they talk about the garage
No,
and like
tell us about that. Tell us about yeah, let's go into that. Tell us about libation and um tell us about yeah, tell us about the libation. Tell us a libation story.
well, more or less, libation was dope. Was my kind of like heyday, I would say. You know, I was youngest. You know, and that was when everything was like fresh and new and exciting and impressionable. The way E130 played was, you know, it was inspirational. It helped me kind of shape my vibe and my sound and things. You know, help inspire me to play stuff that I want to play, or you know, I would kind of try to embody E130's veracity, so to speak. Now I brought up Libation specifically because our sister Lisa just passed away. I don't know if you know Lisa Pitts, just passed away, and she's like a Libation, like she's like a staple to me in this whole scene. Anywhere that was somewhere to be, Lisa was kind of there. You know what I mean? I just really appreciate having witnessed her style and her artistry and her jokes. You know, she was mad funny. And yeah, it just feels like so many people that have shaped my walk through New York City or walk through this music scene. You know, we lost a lot of people. You know, and it's kind of you know, it's been a thing for me, kind of like dealing with that. You know, coping and you know, trying to keep my head on the light side of things. You know, but there's so many people. I mean, like you know, Broadway. I don't know if you know Junior, Soulja Fortune. He was like, you know, a cool cat. And, you know, Carlos Sanchez, who was like, you know, cool with Obadiah. So that was a connection between Obadiah and Carlos and me. Carlos and a few other DJs, we were all part of a coalition called Love and Respect. It was me and Serge Negri. I don't know if you know Serge Negri. Kim Lightfoot, MKL, Snow Brooklyn. You know Snow Brooklyn? Yeah, Paul Dempsey's his name. His name is Snow Brooklyn. And who else is in the crew? So more or less, this is like a crew. This is like an effort to keep like the underground kind of sacred. You know what I mean? To kind of keep it, you know, groovy with these cats that have helped like shape it. You know what I mean? I don't know if you know Samira Hall. Do you know Samira Hall? Yeah, Samira Hall kind of is like the forerunner, forefather of that whole thing. Because of my history as a dancer and as an artist, and how my history is kind of intertwined with showbiz and the underground. You know, he kind of put me, you know, as part of this like squad. You know, so that's kind of interesting, I guess. Yeah, I have like a interesting place in the Brooklyn scene. You know, also Kim Lightfoot, you know, used to come to my dance school because his nieces and his daughter came to my dance school. So before I really know who Kim Lightfoot was for real, you know, I knew Kim Lightfoot as the Kim and Corey, you know, for their twins, you know, him and his brother. And Corey used to come sell art at this you know, this event that my dance school used to host every year. And but that's before I knew they were like phenomenal DJs. Corey is actually, you know, Corey plays like a painter. He plays like an artist, you know. And Kim, you know, has you know some of that, but Corey is like a master. I don't know if you know the difference, you know, in their DJing, but I don't know. I feel like I was gonna say more about because I have all these lines of connection. You know what I mean? So you know, I mean, I could not say stuff, but I could say stuff. I mean, what should I say stuff about though? There's so many things.
Well, we'll do a part two. This will be the part one, but we'll do a part two sometime in the future. We can go deeper.
All right, cool. All right, we'll do a part two.
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate you. It'll be
Thank
live in
you.
about 2 days, and I'll let you know when it goes live. All right,
No
peace,
doubt,
man.
Peace, peace.